Just want to start by asking you how difficult a decision it was to make the decision to start campaigning again today after the events here in Manchester.
In the end, not very difficult at all. Democratic politics is the way we make our big decisions in this country, the way we decide how to protect the British public, and democratic politics has to deal with these issues. There's no point saying we will not allow terrorism to defeat us or to wreck our way of life if we then postpone democratic politics indefinitely during a general election campaign. It's definitely time to get the general election campaign going again, and we in UKIP obviously have already highlighted right at the start of this campaign the priority we were going to give to the issue of Islamic extremism and forcing integration. So that was always going to be and will be a major plank of our manifesto.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot topic in the build-up to the general election campaign now, national security and tackling extremism. What's in your manifesto when it comes to tackling extremism? What are your plans?
Well, we set out a whole range of policies right at the start of the general election about integration, which included things like banning full face coverings in public places to help foster integration, crackdowns on our schools found to be in the grip of Islamist teachings, right across the range. Also, we will be coming up with further detail on our immigration policies to do with border control, who we let into the country, and of course there's the basic security aspect that under this government the British Army's strength and the strength of the police force numerically is at its lowest for many years, and we will make our priority in our public spending to invest in the security of our nation. So 20,000 extra troops, 20,000 extra police officers.
How does banning the full face veil help tackle extremism?
It's been shown, and I think Trevor Phillips and Channel 4 did some good work on this last year, that the more segregated and isolated a community is, a Muslim community in this country, the higher the level of extremism within its ranks, and the higher level of extremism is then at an extreme end of that, even associated with prospering and spreading of this hardline Islamist ideology, which leads to terrorism. So we want to force the pace on integration right across the range of policy areas. There's no one magic solution to this great problem of our age. It requires patient but determined progress across a whole load of areas, and the way the establishment parties have been dealing with it just hasn't worked.
I've been speaking to experts on Sunrise here this morning who have said that actually a lot more should be done in terms of funding youth workers. These are young men, often teenagers, who are being radicalised. They're feeling isolated from society, and the fact that there's a lack of funding in youth workers, these people who provide a link between those young boys, those young men and the rest of the community, they are disappearing. How much funding are you putting into schemes like that rather than banning face veils?
Well, I'm not going to sort of completely deride the idea that more funding for youth workers is the way to combat terrorism, but to me that's not the priority. I think a lot of British people feel.
So where is the priority for funding in countering extremism then?
Well, I've just told you we'll be investing in 20,000 extra police officers, extra prison officers, extra border force guards as well. But I think
can happen at the end of the problem, can't it? You have to get to the root cause of the problem, which is these young men who are separate from the rest of the Muslim faith. They are being targeted because they are vulnerable and they don't have any support in the community. Surely a lot of the funding should go there to tackle this at the source.
There is a lot of funding that goes in through the PREVENT strategy, and I'm afraid the degree of reporting of extremism from within the Muslim communities is just simply not high enough, ranging from imams down to ordinary Muslims in their community. And I think the British people want a bit more of a vigorous challenge to our Muslim communities. We want to have integration. We want to allow every young person from every background to fulfil their potential in our society, but we also want want to say, stop clinging to victimhood here, face up to the truth of the matter, which is within your communities on a whole load of fronts, whether it's grooming gangs through to supporters of Islamic State and terrorists, you host a lot of victimisers here. And let's get tough on that. And let's tell, I thought, for instance, the spokesman for Didsbury Mosque yesterday was singularly ill-advised to, after a fairly cursory statement of sympathy for the victims of the bombing, then spend the bulk of his statement, one, complaining about the media, and two, sort of warning about the dangers of Islamophobic reprisals. I think that just shows the wrong attitudes, the bad leadership within the British Muslim community. And I think the British people want politicians to say, look, we're not on a good path here. It's going wrong, and we need a more muscular approach to integration. And just saying more money for youth workers, you know, that's not good enough. We need a change of mindset from the leadership of British Muslim communities.
OK, but I will just say a lot of the Muslim leaders that we have had here on Sky News over the past 48 hours, they haven't been bad leaders. They've been coming out very strongly against the bomber, what he's done, saying he's a criminal and he has nothing to do with...
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.